It's another week, and that means it's another watch list, and that means there is a list of movies for you to check out. Let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing my weekly watched list. That's all the movies that I watched on top of all the other stuff I was doing this week. Now, I have been watching a few episodes of TV shows behind the scenes, stuff that I'm planning for the future and stuff that I'm just watching on my own. But I don't want to include those because I only want to include stuff that I've finished watching per season or something like that. But we got some really good ones this week. It's a variety pack of different types of movies. Some cosmic, some trippy, some scary, some freaky, some surprises, some stuff that I've been wanting to check out. A lot of it within the 2000s and within the last 8 years. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we got The Possession of Altair. It's actually 1974, La Possession d'Altair, which Altair is the name of a character in this movie, and it is a found footage kind of film. This one's an interesting one. I actually got this from Resolution in a haul from like last year. I have not been able to check this out, but it has kind of haunted me on my shelf and made me want to see it, and I finally got around to watching it. This is a Cauldron film that you can still pick up on Blu-ray, and I will include the links to everything I have down in the links down below for you to pick up through Amazon or wherever you like. 1974, La Possession d'Altair, not on streaming right now. You can only get it on Blu-ray. It's a Mexican found footage film about a newlywed couple that have disappeared in 1974. They have these 8mm tapes, the reels, that reveal one of the most horrifying events in modern Mexican history. And it is a very interesting ride. One specifically because this is the first feature film of Victor Dreyer, who does a really commanding job of sort of painting the 1970s in this sort of really atmospheric film that I think you should check out. It's got really amazing sound design. The look and the feel of this movie is just fantastic. The atmosphere is heavy and palpable. You know, it's a little slow in some parts, but if you lock in and you cut down the lights and you turn up the music and you turn up the volume of this movie, you are going to get into it, and it's gonna creep you the fuck out. I'm telling you right now, this movie is pretty damn good for a found footage film, and it's not that talked about. I'm very particular about my found footage, and I can be very critical on it. This one really surprised me. It goes in directions that you're not expecting and does some things that you might really like that, you know, will surprise you by the end of the movie. It takes a little while. There's some things that happen in the movie that are pretty freaky and unique and different, and the fact that it's set in 1974 just gives it this mystique about it that's amazing. And the sound design that they worked on this film is just impeccable. It is really good. So I would say this is probably a 7.5 out of 10, if not an 8, but I'm saying 7.5 because it's not going to be for everybody because of the slow pacing in the very beginning. Christina kind of tapped out a little bit early, but I found it to be enthralling and I enjoyed every bit of it. So you can pick this up on Blu-ray, and it's not available for streaming. Links down below. Up next for my weekly watch list, I got to check out this Cosmic Dawn movie. Now, this was also a suggestion from Resolution, and I actually picked it up on a Kino Lorber sale, and I got it for like $8 or something like that. And they sent this one out to me, and I've been kind of just sitting on it, waiting on it to watch it. I like cosmic horror, and I like cosmic comedies. I like cosmic anything, really. You get some weird stuff up on the screen and make people do trippy stuff, I'm gonna wanna watch it, period. If you like a trippy movie that involves cults and actually being partially true and maybe partially not true, it is kind of one of those wild rides that takes you on an adventure. It's essentially a Canadian sci-fi thriller about this woman who she witnesses an alien abduction of her mother as a child, this girl named Aurora, and she joins this UFO cult called the Cosmic Dawn. You sort of see her in the future kind of moved on from the cult because something happened and you don't know what it is. So it's kind of going back and forth while she's going back in to investigate the UFO cult, and you find out what happens in the movie as it goes on. She starts to confront her past and pursue the ultimate truth about the cosmic dawn. This is filled with trippy, crazy, wild visuals. There's also a lot of really interesting music that is really atmospheric and makes you feel like you're kind of tripping while you're watching the movie. And not only that, it actually has some pretty decent songs. There's like bands like MGMT in it. Apparently this has a really big soundtrack. It also has a really good score and sound effects and everything with it. It's just a really weird, unique movie that I kind of like. And I didn't love, but I kind of like. And if you like this kind of stuff, I would say it's about a 6 or 6.5, and you can actually watch it on Tubi, or if you have Amazon Prime, it's up for its service for you for free. So you can check it out there or pick it up on Blu-ray down below. Up next, we got The Last Wave. Now, this was a movie that was sent to me about last year, and this is one of the ones that I've been really curious about. It's a 4K copy from Umbrella. They put out a really good release here. This is a totally 70s film that you may like, that's from Australia, which is from Peter Weir, who did the Dead Poets Society, Fearless, The Truman Show, and it's got some pretty interesting visuals in it, and it's kind of got like an end of the world apocalyptic feel with some sort of psychic stuff going on in the film. This is a movie that is about a big-time lawyer in Sydney, Australia, who is taking on a case that seems pretty cut and dry about 5 Aboriginal persons in a ritualized taboo murder. And in the process, he learns a lot of really disturbing things that are going on that are paired with premonitions that he's actually having because he knows about these guys before he even meets them. Like these crazy connections to him, them, and the end of the world going on that kind of paint this picture way ahead of its time movie from 1977 about climate change. Yes, climate change, talking about the end of the world through us destroying it. And it's kind of an interesting take on it. And they do it in a very dreamy, atmospheric way that has different moments of apocalyptic events that go on throughout the movie. The music in it is really trippy and kind of like Tangerine Dream, but very different in its own way. It's by Charles Wayne, aka Groove Myers, who passed away not too long ago, but it really makes the movie pop, and the visuals and everything with it are really interesting. It's part reality mixed with tribalism and like the future, and it's kind of cool. I actually really like this one more than I thought I was going to like it when I kind of got started on the film, and it kind of grew on me as the time went on, and it gets weirder and weirder and weirder as the movie progresses. So I would give this about a 7 out of 10. I wouldn't say that it's for everyone, and if you like artsy films about the end of the world that aren't as overtly end of the world like 2012 or something, you know, it's definitely an interesting film. If you want to check this one out or pick it up for yourself, you can check it out down below. Or if you want to watch it on Max or the Criterion channel, it's on there too. Up next on my weekly watch list, I actually decided to check out Hellboy The Crooked Man. Yeah, that movie. And I'll be honest with you, it ain't half bad. In fact, I was highly impressed with the movie. It is a little bit on the lower budget version, but it still had a $20 million budget, and it's from director Brian Taylor, who, if you remember, did Mom and Dad, also the Crank movies, Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, which, you know, some people say is not a good movie, but it's still the better one of the two. I don't personally think he's actually done a bad movie. Not perfect movies, there's a couple, but I still think he makes an entertaining film, and I think he does a really good job for this movie. Now, the story goes, basically, this is the movie that Mike Mignola, who did the original series of Hellboy, wanted to make because all of the other people have not done the justice that Hellboy deserves. And so he did this sort of independent, sort of big budget film with a different Hellboy and Brian Taylor to direct it. It's essentially about Hellboy and a rookie BRPD agent who in the 1950s are in the Appalachians. So it's like this sort of backwoodsy kind of feel when they discover a remote community dominated by witches and led by the sinister local demon known as the Crooked Man, who in many ways seems like the devil himself. Hellboy, played by Jack Kesey, who was in Deadpool 2, Death Wish Remake, Dark Web Cicada 3301, and more, plays Hellboy, and I think he does a pretty decent job at it, actually. It's not Ron Perlman, it's not David Harbour, but I'll be honest, you know, the last movie I wasn't really a big fan of. Sure, it looked pretty, but it just didn't feel right. There was something off about that movie, and I like David Harbour. This one obviously has some flaws around it. You know, it doesn't have the biggest name actors in it, but they're trying their best and they're doing a fairly decent job at the acting. And the dialogue in this movie feels very much that it is paid homage to the original story. Some people have said that it literally plays out the Crooked Man from the comics exactly how it is. I've never read the comics, but I can tell you that I was definitely more pleased with this movie than I expected. I expected this to be a complete shit show, and it was nothing like that. It's funny, it's interesting. Yeah, it's a little rough around the edges when it comes to the CGI and a couple of moments with dialogue, but overall, entirely watchable. I'd give this a 6.5, maybe even a 7 out of 10, believe it or not. Worth a watch. Give it a chance. Links are down below, or if you want to rent it, you can check it out for $6.99 on digital. Last but not least, we've got Speak No Evil, the remake from 2024, based off the Danish film from 2022. Yes, a very quick remake, by the way. A lot of people really love the original, and it was a movie about a bunch of people going to visit another country, kind of making fun of the Danes and how their consideration and thoughtfulness and niceness gets the best of them. This is one of those sort of home invasion or family invasion films where everybody's playing nice because they don't want bad things to happen, and they're trying to keep up appearances while these people do some pretty nasty things to them. This family goes on a vacation, they meet another family, and then bad things happen. The remake is very much the same thing, only it's an American family that's living in London who goes to Italy and meets a couple who have a place in the West, European. They meet and decide to go visit again. They have such a good time in Italy with this random group of people that they don't even know, who has a little boy, and they and their little girl decide to go out and stay at their house as an offer that they got from these people on their trip to Italy. And things go horribly wrong when they realize that they're kind of being played as a cat and mouse situation to be prey for their weird, messed up hunt. Not the family they thought it was. Now, this movie does a lot of really different things than the first movie. It's going to be a very different flavor altogether, and it's actually directed by James Watkins, who did Eden Lake. So if that doesn't tantalize you a little bit to make you want to see this remake, at least check it out if you haven't seen it. Do I think it's as good as the original? Honestly, I felt like it's kind of about the same. I did like this one. I think it was a little bit more digestible and understandable for me. Was it as dark and messed up as the first one? Not really, but it does make it easy to follow along. The uncomfortable situations are really strong, and you really don't want to be in some of the situations, or you're screaming at the screen telling them to get the fuck out. But they just stay anyway. A little frustrating to watch. But the ending of the film is very different than the original one, so it should pack a punch to some degree, although there are some decisions in the movie that people are going to be debating on whether or not they would have done that as a family, or if the father would have done it or the mother. That's all up for debate. I personally think it's about a 7 out of 10. Obviously, James McAvoy is the breadwinner here. He does a really good job. Mackenzie Davis plays the overconcerned mother, and there's a lot of dynamics at play here, and so there are some good things about it. It doesn't feel necessarily the most original thing I've seen, but you're still kind of locked into this spot from start to finish, and where it goes, you may like or dislike some of the parts in it, but I still think overall it's a pretty decent film. This one's out on Blu-ray, so you can pick it up with a link down below, or if you just want to rent it to check it out, it's $9.99 right now, and I expect that to go down. I did like it slightly better than the original, but I think the original has a little bit more punch to it as far as the dark side of it. But this one doesn't hold back from some pretty messed up things, and it really kind of gets you going, so you have to give it credit where credit's due. But yeah, that's everything for my weekly watch list, and I hope there's some gems in there that maybe you might want to check out for yourself, or ones that might surprise you and they might give a chance that you didn't before. Yeah, this is a thing I'm really enjoying doing, and I hope that you're enjoying it. So if you do enjoy it, please share it with somebody that you know, or, you know, share it on your feed or whatever. It really goes to help me out with the algorithms that are kind of against your boy here. So if you can, I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of this video. If you liked it, hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. I really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week for my weekly watch list for another one on Sunday. So hopefully we'll get it done that day. But anyway, thanks for coming by. And as always, long live the void.